Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into a new episode of Capitol View, a webcast brought to you by the Daily Journal and djournal.com, coming to you every Wednesday around 2 o'clock, talking about the
Every
state
Monday.
legislature with Bobby Harrison, our Capitol Bureau Chief. I'm Brad Locke, your host. How you doing, Bobby?
All right, Brad, how you doing?
Can't complain, sir. Had a good Father's Day, did you? I
I did.
trust.
Had a real good Father's Day.
Well, good. And before we talk legislature and all that fun stuff, let's talk about something really important. Have you heard the new
Okay.
Jason Isbell album yet?
I have. Got it for Father's Day. Got a
That's
song
next.
about Tupelo. Got a song titled Tupelo on it.
I saw that. That's next on my list of music to get, Bobby. So I'm hearing good things about it. Okay, that's your music discussion for the day. Go buy Jason Isbell's new
Well,
album.
before we leave Jason Isbell, Brad, he's coming to Jackson next month, and then in
boy.
August he's going to Delta State.
Yep, you got my ticket then, right?
I'm working on it.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Of course, the legislature out of session. They had a quick special session. I guess it's been a couple of weeks now, Bobby. But still news happening, of course, as always. You want to talk money today, Bobby? Money's been a big issue because Mississippi doesn't have a lot of it right now. We talked about the revenue collections have been a problem for a while. First today, we want to talk about internet tax collections, or technically what's called the use tax. And then just a quick background, it's basically an online sales tax that if you're a retailer online only, don't have brick and mortar presence in Mississippi, you're supposed to collect that tax, but make sure I'm wording this right, Bobby. The people buying these products, the Mississippians, are supposed to put that on their tax forms because until recently it had not been. A lot of companies have not been collecting it. Amazon started doing so earlier this year. Others have followed suit, and so they were expecting. There's the expectation that this would provide a big boost to the bottom line for Mississippi. It hasn't quite materialized yet, has it?
No, and you almost got it right, Brad.
So close.
Actually, if it's an online retailer, or say the company just has catalog sales in Mississippi, but online is the main issue now.
Sure.
The company does not have to collect the tax.
Okay.
The Supreme Court ruled in the early 1990s that if you don't have the brick and mortar presence in the state, if you don't have a actual brick and a building, then the state can't force the company to collect the 7% tax on retail items. A lot of those companies here in Mississippi, Walmart, run the gamut. Walmart, Reed's downtown in Tupelo, they all have to collect the 7% tax on retail items and remit that to the state. But if you're just an online retailer and don't have that brick and mortar presence, you don't have to collect it. And that's been a major, as internet sales have increased, that's been a major issue. And earlier this year, Amazon reached an agreement with the state where they would voluntarily collect the 7% tax for the state, and collect it tax from Mississippians and remit the money to the state, which everybody thought would be a big boost to the general fund, the beleaguered state general fund that has been sort of running bottom of the barrel because revenue collections have been so sluggish. And my story this weekend, and it showed that through the first few months that boost has not come as expected. Now I still think it's going to come and be a boost to the general fund, but it hadn't been as big a boost up to this point as people thought it would be.
Yeah, they're pretty good in March, and then they took a bit of a dip in April and May. In May, the state collected 17.4 million in use tax. It was 18.9 million in May of last year, Bobby. So not a good trend, but is it kind of a small sample size to make too many judgments?
Right, it's a small sample size. And I think in the story, I quote Kathy Waterbury with the State Tax Commission, that those companies that's been voluntarily collecting the tax have collected and remitted to the state 30-something million so far, I believe, Brad. I don't have that number right in front of me. But so what has happened?
36 million, I think.
What has happened, I guess, is the company is just the general use tax has gone down this year, and it'd be even further down, I guess, if not for that voluntary collection. The interesting thing though, Brad, is with the announcement last week that Amazon was buying Whole Foods.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon's going to have a brick and mortar presence in the state pretty soon because there's a Whole Food store in Jackson. I don't know, there may be one. I'm pretty sure it's not one. There's not one in Tupelo, but I think maybe one in South Haven. I don't know, but they will have a brick and mortar presence in the state. And as I understand the law, that would mean that Amazon would be obligated to collect the tax moving forward when that sales goes through.
We are getting an Aldi though, Bobby. We're getting one of those. But no Whole Foods. Easy for me to say. So yeah, it'll be required. But they're already doing it. So will that really make much of a difference?
No, that won't make that much of a difference. I think what the story shows more than anything else is just the economy is not doing as well in Mississippi as maybe it is in some other areas. And when the economy is not doing as well, people just don't buy. People just don't shop as much, whether it's online or at the store. So that's why I think the use tax is down more than anything else.
And also, the state had paid out $2.8 million in use tax refunds in May. Of course, tax season just ended, so a few different factors there. And like we said, Bobby, it's they just started getting some of these companies to voluntarily collect these taxes. So we're going to have to wait and see down the line how it goes. And Bobby, like you said, maybe it should pay off for Mississippi. Speaking of money, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about restructuring debt, Bobby. The Phil Bryant. That doesn't get your blood flowing. I don't know what does. But Treasurer Lynn Fitch and Governor Phil Bryant were in New York, I guess last week. They were two of the three members of the Mississippi Bond Commission, Attorney General Jim Hood being the other. And they said that they restructured state bonds to save taxpayers. I think it's going to be $32 million for the upcoming fiscal year, Bobby. So this is one of those things that I'm not good with money anyway. So I have to be honest to you. A lot of this is just Greek to me. Can you make it maybe understandable to a big dummy like myself?
Well, what I'm kind of in the boat with you, but what I kind of equate it to refinancing your home mortgage, which I've done a couple of times, and a lot of people done that. And they sell their bonds at initially at one interest rate, and as they go along, they can restructure package bonds and get a better rate, and reduce their overall debt. And that's what they do. They did a sizable restructuring this year to save $32 million, but it's not unusual for this to occur. I think since Lynn Fitch has been on office, I think she's in her second term, and in the first term she restructured enough debt to save the state, I think $69 million. So over 4 years. So this is not uncommon, but it's a big help this year, because the state's having to make cuts everywhere. The Department of Mental Health's making cuts, State Health Department making cuts, Public Service Commission. You hear about tuition and skyrocketing at community colleges, all because of lack of state revenue. And this will save the state $32 million that they don't have to pay towards towards their debt. So that's that's kind of a big deal. And it was you talked about it getting you blood boiling. You go on social media, it looked like Phil Bryant and Lynn Fitch both were having a good time in New York during their trip up there. You saw a picture of Phil Bryant outside the New York Stock Exchange with a big smile on his face. So they were having a big time. And also, while they were up there, Brad, not only did they restructure that debt, they met with the credit rating agencies,
right.
Moody's, Fitch, and Standard & Poor's, which all have given Mississippi sort of some negative outlooks over the past year because of that sluggish revenue collection and other factors. And so they met with them to try to get things moving in the right direction. So that was also an important aspect of the trip. Yeah.
In your stories, as you note, Fitch has the Mississippi's rating as stable. The other two have it as negative. And if you know about credit ratings, everybody has their credit rating. And I guess these are the same people that they do these for people like you and me, and for state entities as well.
Yeah. What's important, Brad, is the way Mississippi has debt is the state sells bonds to finance long-term construction projects, whether at universities, community colleges, state office buildings. They built the two museums that are set to open down here later this year, the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum and the Mississippi History Museum. They were all built with bonds. In other words, they were built by issuing debt. And just like a homeowner, you have a better credit credit score, you get a better interest rate on your house. And if Mississippi has a better rating from these three credit rating agencies, they get a better rate on the bonds they issue on the payback of those bonds. So that's why that's important.
And you had a line in here too, Bobby, about Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves. He's complained about Fitch and her asking for bigger deficit appropriations than were needed. You didn't really kind of just had that one line in the story. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's been kind of ongoing battle. Each year the legislature has to appropriate amount of money to pay that debt for the year that we've been talking about. And for the coming year? I mean, it's a sizable chunk of money. It's I want to say it's around $375 million that the state has, or $275 million that the state pays on its debt each year. And in recent years, say August or September, Fitch has asked for a sizable deficit, saying that the legislature didn't appropriate enough money to pay that debt. And as the year wore on, she didn't need as big a deficit appropriation as she first said she did. So that has sort of upset Lieutenant Governor Reeves. And what Fitch would say to that is what we talked about. She were able to refinance the debt to save a little money and not have to get as big a deficit. And this year we know up front that, she's saying there won't be a deficit needed because of the refinancing they did last week while in New York.
All right. Well, Bobby, good stuff as always, and trying to make this stuff accessible to people like me who don't always get it. So appreciate your patience with that. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to this episode of Capitol View. Again, coming to you each Monday around 2 p.m. live here at djournal.com. Catch the replay later in the day if you missed it, or if you just want to watch it again and make sure you caught everything about bond indebtedness. Bobby, we'll try it again next week, man. Appreciate your time.
All right, Brad. Take care, man. All right.
See y'all next time. Bye-bye.